Okay, folks, we're back.
So
And
if the
we had
speaker
just we just went over the project 7s, but we didn't do the project 8 examples, correct?
Yeah, I have a
No, we
question.
haven't done that. I'm going to just share my screen for a moment again. And
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, so for the sketches for the project 7, should we like scan them and then send it through email?
that would be fine if you can do that. Scanning and through email. So that's go back to here just to review a little bit. Can't do this. So this so scanning. This you can either do, you just scan the page or take a picture of it. I think that Gary took a photo of his sketches, so that anybody who sent in, like Zach sent in sketches, or which one did you do? Zach, you sent me part of a project. Was that project 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I gave him points for that part, and then when the rest of it comes in, whenever that comes in, and again, it's kind of on our own time when we get the software, when we have the time, or there's so many things going on in everyone's lives as far as just being in place and not being able to do what we usually do. So just as much as you can do of it, and send it to me as attachments in email, and then I post those grades.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so the other thing, I just wanted to share my screen here. Let's see, my cursor is so I wanted to just show, oh, let's see, not my screen. I'm going to stop the share now. Can I make my image bigger here, John? So I just.
Yeah, what will happen is if people are on gallery view, they'll see you smaller, but if people switch to speaker view, then they'll see you full screen.
Okay,
So,
well,
so
this
if you want to see what Beth is holding up larger, switch to speaker view, okay?
This isn't very big, but it relates to project 7. So this is, the Mac is not a typewriter, and this is one of the required pieces of reading. Either it was a bootleg PDF online, or an actual real book, or either version. So there you go. Let's so that this book is the reference for your type. Even if you're an advanced graphic artist, you'd still have learn a few things from this. The other piece is this, which is your, let's see, hold up something behind us here. Letting ruler. This is, you use it all the time. So that's another thing to be aware of. So these are the tools that were required at the beginning of class, and that hasn't changed. It's not so important when we're working on the animation, but I did want to remind you that it's important when you're doing type and measuring things on a page in DM2 and DM6 and courses that go on farther in graphic design and publishing. You want to be using those tools. So, and that book. All right. So John, what are we up for now?
Project 8 examples.
All right. So share my screen now. And for starts, well, how does project 8 start? Let's see. Let's go, and we've got one of these that came in from Abby. Oh, that's Gary. Let's look at Gary's. So Gary kind of ignored these frames on his storyboard because he had more to say, and that's fine. So we've got this, and we've got I thought I had the other one out here, but storyboard 2. Yeah, so if we're watching Gary's animation, so he kind of figured that he would do this thing, which is the DM1. It's a sort of advertisement for the class. I think that's what it is. And so and again, he just followed there he sent in his rubric, checked rubric. Again, you can do that any number of ways, just telling me you did those parts. And these are the storyboards. And so let's go see what he did for the, so this is a Swift file, and I'm hoping that it, there we go. And so the, let's see, there's a full screen view that, no, that's not that one. So if I go up here to my screen, I can do a full screen view of this. So this is his animation done in Animate. And let's see. I want to get that off of there. John. Where's the I can't see it here. I just want to shrink this back down.
What do you want to do?
John, are you hearing me? I want to take it back to the original size, not the filling the screen size.
Try hitting escape.
That's good. Thank you. I knew it was easy. Okay.
But you could always try Command Z.
Okay, I was about to do that. Anyway, thank you both for that. Anyway, that's how Gary did his. And then Abby Kroger also did one of these. And I am just looking in here to see. There's this right here. So she took, this is a picture of her screen view. It's good, screen view.
You can just drag the right corner to open it up.
Yeah,
Do
I
that.
just, yeah, well, that does it. So, so that's her rubric, and that this is her. She also took some liberties with the storyboard because she had this full dip to do here. What's the name of this in skateboarding? Anybody know the name of this?
It's not a U, something
Killing
like that.
yourself.
There's a name of this move where you,
Half pipe.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what the one I was remembering. Anyway, she's that's her storyboard 1 and her storyboard 2 and her storyboard so she decided to do the color. So she just did that in color. I don't know. She did that in, I don't know what she did this in. So yeah, I'd never seen anybody do any storyboard quite like that to that degree of completion. Half pipe. Did you just say that? Yeah. I heard the pipe part, but I couldn't get the half part. Anyway, so so she turned this in as a Swift file. Actually, turned it in as a JavaScript and HTML and a Flash FLA file. But this is her.
Beth, did you want to look at the other examples in Canvas?
Yes, I do want to look at that. So let me just see if I can. So hers isn't opening up like the other one did, but let's take a look at the, oops. I think I lost my,
Oh, you can just go to open up a Canvas window.
so John, I'd like for you to talk a little bit about how you got these to, let's get in the right class.
Well, when people turn in, when people try to view a Swift file, an SWF file, if they don't have the Flash player on their system, it won't run. So to let people see that the animations without having the Flash player, I actually converted them to little movies that would open up in Canvas. So if you see these Project 8 examples, you can actually run them right from within Canvas because they're MP4 files.
So I'm looking at this in the
Up. Yeah, there you go.
teacher's mode. So I
Yeah,
had
you're there.
tried to put project examples for this in there, but they wouldn't play. They wouldn't play at home. They played at school for some reason.
Well, that's because it's the presence of the Flash player that allows them to play.
Yeah. So and then open these up and then play them.
Hmm.
I'm going to do this one again. I'm going to do each of them twice so you can kind of see. And think about how they were using their storyboards. So they were trying to get as much content into these as possible. So this is for that one, and go to the next one here. And some of them are a little longer than others. Some of them are just the frames that were required. Others added a whole bunch more frames so that you're seeing longer ones in some cases.
Yeah, in some of them they had looping turned on indefinitely. So I just did recorded the first loop, unless it was
love
short,
this
in
one.
which case, like this one, I let it
This is very simple. Okay.
Ouch.
Ouch. Talk about okay. So you can also you can step through them with the slider here so that you can see what each frame looks like, so you can get a sense of that. Now, if you were to hold one frame and repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it over and over again, then it goes much more slowly. So if you were to duplicate an image in successive frames, it would hold, it would stay in place without, it would stay on the screen. So if you wanted to do that, where you change the rate of the look and feel of the rate moving really fast, you can slow it down in places by putting this, for instance, in successive frames, and it just holds on to it. So it's copy and paste in place, copy and paste in place, copy and paste in place when you get that. So let's take a look at the next one. And excuse me. I like this one a lot. Oh, look at this. Okay. And I think, do we have another one in here? Oh, yeah, that's nice. I like this one. Oh, but what John had to do to get these all in here was above and beyond, and only John could have figured out all of the ways, all the different formattings and everything, combinations, so that we could get these in here. So I think, oh, this is sweet. So
You know, make that full screen.
mm-hmm.
And you can hit the space bar, I think, to play them and loop them.
So this artist is a wonderful illustrator. She just does all kinds of work in the area, doing illustration, moving and still illustration. Okay. That's the last one. Okay. So meanwhile, back at home for this, if you did need to get your, and not to scroll too fast so you don't get sick to your stomach. So the storyboards are in here. the animation instructions and the storyboards. Again, you can do what Gary did with the storyboards and ignore the little rectangles and just go ahead and do, where are they? Oh, they were just over here. Oops. Sorry, that's 7. I can't find his storyboards, but if you just remembering what he did, where he just drew outside the lines, it's mainly trying to get yourself frames. It's like a flip book. It goes from frame to frame. So if you have something like a flip book, I have one in the other room, but not right here. You know what you're doing. So you're just putting a slightly changed image or the identical one if you want it to hold in place on each frame. So we're going to go over to, and I haven't, this is one of the, I'm using one of the computers from the lab from school. And because mine at home doesn't have a new enough operating system for all this stuff. So I'm going to be opening up Animate. And I have no particular plan here. And so I've got a lot of more examples down here. And so I'm going to pick the standard and I'm going to, well, I could open, I'm going to open up, let's see. And I haven't seen the newest version, so I'm going to ignore these and go to well, I want to open up a new file. I guess it's create. That's how they. So when you click create, then you have your setup here. Is everybody seeing this pretty well?
Yeah, I can see it. You
Okay.
could make the white box bigger if you want to make the foreground bigger.
Yeah, so this is your frame, and you can make it bigger, but
It's good enough for now. There's nothing in it.
yeah. So and this is your this is where all of your frames go, and so my camera is right up here, or my is right up here next to these frames in real life, so I can't see them too well, but you're going to be clicking here and then holding down the shift key and clicking here, and you're going to be talking to 30 frames. Now, some of the things we are watching are over here, and this maybe even more. So they might have been holding down the shift key and selecting all the way out here to 65 frames. So those are all in the instructions and the instructions for Project 8. You have all of the information about frames and how to add them like this, and how to take them away. So those are things that you'd want to do, but I'm just going to start off with this first frame, and you have over here tools. I also like to, in all of these new ones, I go to let's see, preferences, and I'm going to make the interface light like that, so you can see some of these over here, dark on dark. It's a little hard to see. And right here, there's a way to make the tools spread out a little bit more in a little chunkier format. But I'm not seeing that right now. Maybe I'll think of it. John, do you remember how that works to make a wider menu?
To make a wider menu.
I won't worry about that. Can you guys all see the tools over here on the left? Can you see the tools?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the handout, it shows you what they are, but if you hover over them, this is the selection tool, and then rotation, 3D rotation. We're not going to be playing with 3D. The lasso grabs stuff so that you can drag it someplace else. And the pen tool is something that we used a tiny bit in Illustrator. So it's for making vector-like lines. And that's another thing about Animate. It's a cross between pixels and vectors. So you're dealing with both kinds of imagery. So it's good to know when you're trying to select something that that's the case. You can select part of something, so we'll be seeing that a little bit later, but this pen tool is a vector tool, and this is your type, and then a line tool, rectangle, oval. When you click the little triangle at the bottom of the tool, it gives you extra tools. I'm not sure what the oval primitive tool is, but that's in there as well. And this one is, I haven't used this in a while, so the Polystar and a pencil and a brush and it's a paint brush. I'm not sure the difference between the paint brush and the brush tool. I imagine the paint brush has a variety of strokes. And the bone tool, can't remember what that is. Paint bucket, again, when you watch the animations that I sent you on about creating an animation and about creating a storyboard, I sent the tutorials, 3 tutorials, where if you watch them, you probably know more than I do about this right now, because that's really something that you'd want to take a look at. It doesn't describe all of these in detail, but it gets you started creating something. So I'm going to I don't know about the ink bottle tool. Eyedropper tool goes and picks up a color or a pattern from something else, and so that you can apply it to something else. And the eraser looks like an eraser. The width tool, I don't remember. So that's going to be something to explore. The asset wrap warp, no, I don't know. So camera, hand tool moves things around, zoom tool, and stroke color. So when I click into the stroke colors, these are all stroke colors, and I'm going to go for a kind of a dark red here. And this is the fill color. So I'm going to look at the fill colors here and do something that's kind of like, oh, maybe like that. And so if I were going to make a square, for instance, like that, I have a stroke around it that is variable, and it happens to be red. And I have the same thing with the circle. So if I'm doing a circle and a square, if I want to make an oval like that, then I make an oval. So you can make things out of these elements. And so if I want to select, I'm assuming that holding down the Command key selects, and when you select, you're selecting parts of this. So if I do a Command Z and select across this, then I'd have to, if I want to select the whole thing, then I'd have to select the whole thing. If I'm selecting just this part, then I'm dragging off that part. So you can see how it's both kind of pixel oriented and vector oriented, because these are also all and I go to select the edge right here. It's selecting the edge right up to this point where it crosses over. So it behaves a little differently from some of the other painting and drawing programs you might have used. So I held down the Command key, which is universally the selection key for almost all of the tools, applications. So John, selection, the Command key, is it, you can pretty much trust that it's going to be the selection key, right?
Yeah, usually command is a non-contiguous selection, and if you shift command, you can select different things, but what were you trying to do?
Well, I'm just showing them selection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and showing them that command, the CMD command key is the selection key. And so I've got it, it's sort of set now. So if I wanted to go and play around with some of these elements and drag them into different places and get rid of them with the delete key, and then I'm not sure where rotate is, but I'm going to try R to see. No. So the modify, I'm going to look up here to modify to see the things that can be modified, and the yeah, I want to be able to rotate something. So maybe it's Command R. No. Yeah, so you want to be able, again, I would go back and look at the tutorials. I didn't get a chance to do that myself, but so I want to get rid of all of these things by holding down the Command key, selecting them all, and clicking delete.
Beth,
and maybe
to rotate, it should be modify transform.
yes, modify transform.
And then you should see rotate under that. Down a little further.
Okay, well, let's try that with, I'm
You
going to create something freehand here with a brush. I'm curious about
okay.
this brush.
That's where rotate is.
And yeah, so if I have some things that I want to do here, on this space.
You got a bleed going, huh?
Yeah. And that was, when you look at Abby's, all of her, did I play the half pipe? Did we play the half pipe video? Or did we just,
So.
we might have to do that. If you want to, you can hold down the Command key and something like that, and then hold down this selection right here, and I could get rid of those things on the right if I wanted to. So if I wanted to get rid of those, I could do that. So I want to then select these, and so I might want to select that section there, and then going up to
Modify.
and transform.
There you go.
And free transform. So it gives me a selection, and I can do this. And I imagine that there are other things that I can do to, so I can,
You can probably stretch it out and move it. Yeah.
yeah, so I should be able to stretch it and do all kinds of things with it. And if you have a shape in your storyboard that looks something like this, boomerang or whatever it is, then you could make it out of a piece of a line. So then if I want to, I'm going to go up here and just click up here and hold down the shift key and click through to each frame. If I want to go to my next frame, if I remember correctly, I no, there's a special. I'm just going to click on the next frame right here, and this is my home frame. I want to select all this stuff with the Command A to select all, and then I'm going to go to the next frame, and let's see, I don't have this right, you guys. So I don't have my sheet, my instruction sheet up here. Should have gotten that out, just forgot to, thought I'd remember. So you would be looking at your Project 8 page, and I don't have a physical one here. John, do you happen to have a Project 8? Let me just see. I'm going to my physical materials here now. No. Project 8 is missing. So what I would be, I forgot to do this because there are all of these instructions in Project 8. I want to just pull this to the side. So let's look at, so this is so Project 8, these are the different methods. And then if you went to the second page of the Project 8, it's got all kinds of instructions. So the F7 function key at the top of your keyboard does several things. And so that is, I'm clicking on frame 1. So method 1 and method 2 for adding frames is what I'm looking at here on the instructions. And again, when you go to, you can get the PDF out of Canvas or leave it in Canvas and open it up and read these instructions that way. So what it's asking you to do down here at the bottom is to create frames right here, and it's showing you the setup for frames and keyframes. And I'm going to go up here and try to click here, and it says to now click the F7 function key. Let's click back on here. And well, it's not clicking to the, all right. Sorry about this. This stuff is actually all right in here. And I wanted to set up the 30 frames, and I don't have the second page to look at here, so that you would be going to your handout that's in Canvas. And so maybe see if there's one special way to get to add frames, and that is absolutely fundamental. And I'm not seeing. Click the next blank frame, then click the, oh, F6. So that's okay. So I'm pressing F6 and it's giving me, okay, it was F6. So I'm creating keyframes here, pressing F6 that I read up here in method 1. And so there is a method 2, but now that I've got these here, I can click here in the first frame, and I can also get onion skin, which is in this view. I'm pretty sure that I'm not quite seeing it here. Yeah, but I just want to get to the my next frame. So I'm going to the next frame and the next frame, and so this one would be my first frame would be here. My next frame would be here, and I may want to take things from my previous frame by selecting it, like the boomerang. And so if I just wanted this one piece right here, I might just select that and copy that with a Command C, and then go over to my next frame. And I can do a Shift Command V or Command V to paste, just paste in center or paste in place. Oh, Shift Command V. Oh, nope, didn't do it. So I'll just use that paste. And then this is an object. When you see a square with those anchor points around all sides, that's an object that you can stretch and play with. Command Z can take things back to where they were before. So then if I wanted to make this move across the animation, I might put it here, and then I would copy it again, and then I'd go to my next page, and I'm going to take all that stuff away and paste it in again and move it this way. And then I'm going to go to the next page, get that stuff off there. I'm not sure why it landed on all pages. And this one to the next page, and then go to the next page and paste this over here. So if I have onion skin on and I'm not finding that, onion skin lets you see 3 frames before and 2 frames before and after. And mainly I just want to get this over here, so that even though everything is, I'm going to paste this like that, and then I'm going to hit the return key and start this at the beginning. And let's see. So that's, I'm stepping back. I'm using my direction arrows next to the letter M, and I'm stepping through. So this is the little animation I made. Really wild, exciting, but so you would put what you want in each frame that goes with the previous frame. And when I find out oh, it says click the onion skin button. And so I'm going to hover over these a little bit here. It seems like the onion skin button should be right up here logically, but I'm not seeing it. It has to do with your frames, and it lets you see through frames. And shoot, well, that's when. Oh, wait a minute.
Beth, the onion skin icon is underneath the timeline.
It's under the timeline, right here. This is where my camera's. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, it's there. You see it there?
So my whatever it is was covering it up. I knew it was right there. So I'm pulling this all down here, folks.
Yeah, because the Zoom thing covers things up at the top of the screen sometimes.
It was my cam was covering that very part up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what was going on. So then you get to see what comes before and after what you've done. Now, what you've done on here can be realistic, or it can have letters, it can have anything. I mean, it's, you know, animation. So you can also step these back, and when you're in a, I'm using the right arrow and the left arrow keys that are next to the letter M on the keyboard of your keyboard, your letter keyboard. And so if I get to here and I want to click on this frame and get rid of all of this stuff that's on here, clicking on that frame. Oh, this is carried over from the previous one. Interesting. So I'm going to just step through here. And I can turn off the onion skin by going up to onion skin and turning it off. So I'm just seeing. So again, for some reason, because I had all of the frames, well, I had all of those frames highlighted. So that at the very beginning, all of those pieces were showing on the stage in each frame. So again, looking at some of these different, the pencil tool, and picking, you can get your stroke color and get your pencil tool to, pencil tool.
Beth, we're close to the quarter after mark for our last break. Do you want to, is there a logical place where you want to stop here soon?
It's going to be logical pretty soon.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's using the pencil tool and drawing your drawing. And when you use the pencil tool, it flattens out so that the crooked parts that happen straighten out. And so you can, when you select this, you can select pieces of it and pull them out and make something kind of interesting and different, unexpected, that you can play around with these tools and have something going on. So this is looks like a little weird character starting to run off the side of the page, and this looks like a great big alligator eyeball. So you can play around with all of that stuff, and you can also trim these outside things off if you want to, but usually trims to the stage. So I was holding down the command key and grabbing stuff. Also, if you want to fill something, there's a paint bucket here, And if I go back to the colors and I want to fill, it should be, yeah, it finds a place where there are no holes and it fills it. So if there are holes in the edges, it doesn't fill that, like it wouldn't fill that little place in there that I was trying to fill, but it will fill the skateboard for the little girl going off the edge of the page. And then you can make a kind of a random, let's do a bright red fill and fill, see if we can now, can't fill that. But if I were to make a circle here and try to fill that with the bucket, let's see if that would happen. Bucket paint. No. So there are certain rules for each of these things, and again, what it's like a flip book. So whatever appears on each page flips up. If you have a flip book at home to play around with, that makes a difference. I do have a flip book that I could go and get and bring for a little bit later because we've got to do a break right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a flip book right here I can demonstrate if you want.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, let's do.
I don't know if you can see it on screen. Hang on.
Zach, let's get our flip books out and show them after the break.
Okay.
Yeah, let's take a break and then we'll do that, okay?
I actually have several that I could show you.
Oh, excellent.
But yeah.
Okay.
I knew I could count on somebody for that.
Let's take a 10-minute break, folks, okay?
All right.
All right, I'm gonna stop the recording.